the King Von documentary is out by Trap Lore Ross. Some of you may have seen on No Jumper or The Shade Room or Vlad TV, but Trap Lord Ross, I believe he is the nephew of Tim Westwood, has come out and created a documentary about King Von. He accused King Von of being a serial killer. A lot of people are mad at Trap Lore Ross. I actually think that the only one you can really be mad at is King Von for doing these murders and for doing these things to his own people and his own community. And as far as exposing anything, King Von exposed pretty much all of it. If you watch any of the documentary and if you listen to any of King Von's bars, any of his songs, or if you followed him on Twitter, he told you that he was doing all of these things. And he didn't just allude to them. He told you explicitly that he was doing these things. The only thing he may have left out was the victims' names at times. And that's it. So there's no one to blame in this but King Von. I think that is one thing that needs to be said. But another thing that needs to be said, though, is I think that Trap Lore Ross definitely needs to watch out for karma and how the world goes nowadays, because the world is about exposing people and putting things out there. And if you don't know Trap Lore Ross, his uncle is Tim Westwood. He's a very, very famous DJ out in the UK, I believe in London. So he would put on a lot of UK artists, but he was especially famous for being the guy who would put on American rappers in the UK. So like the biggest famous American guy would come over to the UK, come over to London, and they'd freestyle for Tim Westwood TV. I grew up on Tim Westwood TV. I would watch that stuff all the time on YouTube. And about 2 or 3 years ago, Tim Westwood actually got accused by multiple women of SA and of other things that may even be worse than that, and that destroyed Tim Westwood and his whole entire reputation. And if we're being honest, one of the main reasons that Trap Lore Ross has the big following that he does is because of his own uncle. So I think he's someone who has definitely seen someone get exposed and called out and destroyed, whether or not his uncle did any of these things or not. That's not the debate. I mean, it's a very high possibility it's that many women that, that those things that he was accused of probably did happen. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they didn't. What I'm saying is that Trap Lore Ross has seen what happens when people get exposed and how it can destroy someone's career. And for you to expose anyone or put things out there to anyone, regardless of if they're alive or dead, just brings a lot of bad karma. This is something that I'm seeing a lot in YouTube stuff, in content creator stuff, is people are always trying to expose people. People are always trying to put stuff out there about other people, but they don't realize that we all have things that could come out about us. We all have someone that could say something bad about us and put us on the chopping block as well, and that's one thing that I think Trap Lore Ross should kind of learn. It's like you should have learned from your uncle that maybe putting something out about somebody else isn't the best idea, because you know how detrimental it can be to somebody's life and their legacy when things do come out. And if there's anything about you, buddy, all bets are off now. It's the same thing with Adam 22. Adam 22 is somebody who's been accused of multiple acts of SA and other things, being with young girls and stuff like that, when he definitely shouldn't have. He's supposedly been exposed by people like Little Pump and the Perv Busters. On his own YouTube channel, he was exposed by the Perv Busters, which is wild. It's like, buddy, you got to run a tighter ship. But you could almost say that this is karma for Adam, because his whole entire platform is constantly about exposing people for things. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. Certain things can just be life shit. Not everything has to be for the internet. And once you put out everything for the internet, you kind of invite everything in your personal life to be put out on the internet as well. And I've noticed that. I mean, again, he exposed, House Phone, for dealing with a trans woman, which there's nothing wrong with that, you know. But he exposed him and he outed him when Houseman like had always stuck by him even during all those allegations and everything, right? And then on top of that, he also exposed like Shy Glizzy when Adam had the porn star Sky Breon, who basically accused him of, I don't know, trying to do all sorts of weird stuff that I won't go into detail here because I'm still trying to get monetized. But she accused him of all this stuff and this, that, and the third, you know. And he's outed multiple people on multiple different occasions, and you know, so now when his whole thing about the 16-year-olds starts happening with the perv busters, the whole thing about everybody leaving him and now kind of shitting on him, it's like, yeah, that's now all fair game because you never operated fairly. So if you don't operate fairly, what's everybody's incentive to treat you fairly as well? You know, this whole game, bro, like, you know, I'm just a small fish in a vast, vast ocean, but I can already tell you that this game doesn't have to go the way that these people are playing it. It doesn't. All you have to do is simply talk about yourself and how you feel about certain subjects. You don't have to go around, you know, putting everybody on blast and taking out sensitive subjects about certain people that you're supposedly friends with and then act as if it's content. It is content, but it doesn't have to be. And all your stuff could have went just as viral if you didn't say any of those things. And now, look at No Jumper now. It's fucking empty. It's him and Sharp. It's that. It's him and Sharp in the Sharp Tank, and that's it, man. And it's just a shame, you know. And this is something that I think trickles down even farther from just content creating. You know, it happens in comedy and stuff too. I've been doing comedy for an entire fucking decade, for over a decade, and it's so funny because I got out of, you know, or I didn't really get out of, I'm still doing stand up and stuff. I'm actually planning a little bit of a tour in a few weeks and stuff. So I didn't get out of it, but it's still the concept of, I decided to, because I was tired of how manipulative people can be, how cutthroat people can be, how backstabbing people can be, I decided to get into the internet game to kind of build a name for myself and build a place of safety and comfortability and build a fan base that fucks with me as who I am as a human being. And then, you know, as I get into it, I'm realizing that this is all the same bullshit that I was just running away from. So, you know, it's one of those things where I don't know if it's just the entertainment industry or is this how it goes when anyone wants anything at a high level. You know, it's so funny because it's like, you know, if you operate on a high level, then it usually means you have a high level of intelligence or dedication. But it's so funny is that while you simultaneously are showing that about yourself to other people, that you're smart, that you're this highly creative person, also while you're in the scene of these things, you kind of become an animal yourself too. You lose a lot of yourself.